Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I just want to make sure if everybody can see my screen okay. I'll just cover, this is a very, very quick PowerPoint. So just to illustrate some of the topics we're going to talk about today. So again, as Rob had mentioned, this is part 2 of the sales opportunity management functionality with Business One. So today, there's quite a bit we're going to be covering today. So we're going to demonstrate steps to creating a sales opportunity, and then understanding some of the sales stages within that opportunity. We're going to show you how to manage the customer sales activities, and then at the end we'll do a brief overview of some of the reporting in the CRM system. So just quickly, in terms of why is CRM important? Well, when we look at the record, and when Rob starts the demonstration today, we're going to really be focusing on the record, the sales opportunity record. And it's important because we can track proposals, sales quotes. We can track sales activities such as meetings, phone calls, future follow-up dates. That's very important from a sales development standpoint, as well as we can record the opportunity source, closing date, sales amount, competitors, lots. There's lots of functionality here that we can do with the sales opportunity record within the CRM system. And Rob will be running through that for you today. And then finally, very important we're going to show you some of the reporting that we can show you. There's lots of reports, the pipeline reports and that sort of thing that we'll demonstrate for you at the end. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. There's quite a bit to cover, and again, as Rob mentioned, we can have some questions at the end. So that's it. So I'm going to pass it over to Rob now. Rob, you okay to take over?
Yep, absolutely, Mike. Thanks for that.
Right on.
So okay. I'm just going to grab back presenter. Okay, and here we go. And Mike, I'm just going to quickly check. Can you see my screen okay?
I can see your screen perfectly.
All right, wonderful. Hopefully that means everybody else can. Again, this session is being recorded. So, we will make that available on our website. So the first step that, as Mike mentioned, is really the creation of the sales opportunity. So not every organization uses this functionality to track sales opportunities. I think it's our intent today for Mike and I to show you, why you might use this system. Certainly larger organizations that have a larger sales staff that are being managed to a quota and managed to a pipeline would use a system like this. But we're going to show you how you can kind of use the basics of the system and maybe some of the more advanced stuff. On your menu bar, sales opportunities is the third one down typically, and we can access the sales opportunity form just by clicking in there. We also could have gotten at it through this menu bar up top. All right, so we have a sales opportunity in front of us. And the system, in this case, just assumes that we want to add a new one, but we could go and search for an existing sales opportunity if we needed to. And in this case, I'm going to kind of put myself in the sales person's shoes, and I'm going to assume that I'm creating a new sales opportunity, and I don't have a customer contact record, so business partner record in the system yet. So I'm going to enter my cursor into one of the business partner fields, either the code or the name, and I'm going to click on the little bubble on the side. None of these business partners are who I'm here to create a record for today. So I'm going to click New, the New button at the bottom of this window. All right. The only two bits of information that I truly need to create a business partner record are a code and the name of the business partner to get rolling. All of the other bits of data in here are additional, but when creating a business partner record, it's pretty common to create a code. So I'm just going to make up a code here. And you'll notice that I have the choice to choose whether this is a customer, a vendor, or a lead. In a lot of organizations, salespeople are actually restricted to creating leads only. And I think that might be the case at Project Line, where the salespeople are using the system to track sales opportunities. The thing that makes a lead unique from a customer or a vendor is that a salesperson can create a lead record, but no AR or AP documents can be posted against a lead, so that accounting has the opportunity to be able to review the business partner record and then say at whatever time is appropriate to promote it to a customer or a vendor. So that's kind of what the advantage of creating a lead category is. And we're going to say that Claudia, you're going to have to forgive me. I think I'm getting your name spelled correctly. Let's just check. Okay, I don't have the ability to put the accent on the E there, but at any rate, and Claudia is, we're going to say, in the large account category. Okay. So there we go. We've inputted enough to call this a lead. And again, a business partner record could be an individual or it could be an organization. All right, so we're going to add that to the sales opportunity. Okay, notice that there's some other header information here that we need to detail, in particular sales employee. Let's go back to the business partner record for a second. Let's say that on Claudia's account, we always had Sophie as the default sales employee. So let's update that. Okay, and then let's quickly re-choose Claudia. Notice when we refresh the choice of business partner, any of the default information like sales employee or sales territory or even contact person if we had on the file, it gets pulled automatically forward into the header information here. The other thing we want to do on the header is we want to give this a name. So we want to say this is an opportunity. Claudia called us and said, we're moving offices, project line is moving offices next week, and all of our printers are old and crummy. We want new printers. So we're going to do a big printer sale to project line. Okay. And the first tab on the sales opportunity, the potential, really kind of talks about how long of an opportunity you think this is and what you think as far as a ballpark amount. And early on in the conversation, like Claudia just sent me an email saying, hey, can I talk to you? I need to buy a bunch of printers. I think I need to buy 20 printers. So we may say that, it sounds like this piece of business is going to close within 30 days. Typically, when you buy 20 printers, we're talking about a $10,000 piece of business. So I'm going to put that in the potential amount field. Notice that it inserted an amount for weighted amount, and I'm going to talk about what that means in a moment here. So just kind of save that in the memory banks. We're going to say that Claudia's level of interest is high, but the level of interest is something that your organization defines. So you can have high, medium, low, nonchalant, whatever you think. I'm going to put it as high. We can even create a description on what their interest level is. Immediate interest. Okay. So again, a lot of these things can kind of be defined by you. So there we go. We've got, we've selected a business partner. We've given the opportunity a name. It defaults the start date to today, and we've described the basic parameters or what we think the potential of the deal is, that it's going to close in. Now, let's say in this particular case that we're going to close it in 15 days. We could select weeks or months. You see the predicted closing date updates here, and we've Claudia had told us in an email that she wanted to buy 20 printers, so we think that that's about 10 grand. So now we're going to add that sales opportunity to the system. All right. Okay, so that's really step one, and maybe this is a good time to just take a quick pause, and note any questions or concerns people might have. I think we're just Claudia and Hank, you're monitoring the questions there. I don't think, have you had any pop up so far of any significance? We can certainly take questions at the end. All right, so we'll keep going. So we've got our sales opportunity in the system. So let's go ahead to that sales opportunity. See, I used the little last data record and sequence arrow here. So here's our sales opportunity. And now we're going to kind of, the salesperson gets to talking to Claudia and is able to start detailing more of the information. So if we switch to the general tab, this first area, this business partner channel code, what this is meant to do is that this is meant to capture a distributor, a distribution network. So let's say you sold your services through other partners. Like let's say you're a technical services company that sells their services through engineering firms. They bring customers to you. Or you're a IT wholesaler like we are in this case, and we sell our services through other IT firms like microchips. We could if this sale came to us through microchips, we could indicate that that's our partner on this one. Likewise, on this right-hand side here, we can choose an information source. So it's sometimes not a bad idea to track where your leads are coming from, whether it be a referral, word of mouth, a rumor that that people have heard while they're on a site, or maybe even through your distribution network, like in this case. Okay, and then oftentimes people like to track what industry the sales opportunity is in here. So is it agriculture, engineering, IT, services? Again, this is a list that you can define. Okay, I'm going to come back to the Stages tab. On partners, here's where we could define what our partners were. So let's say a partner on the sale was IBM. We could insert IBM as one of our partners. Obviously, when Project Line is selling ERP systems, SAP would be one of these partners here. So, partner is somebody that you rely on to do this piece of business. A competitor would be somebody that you're competing against. So in this particular case, our competitor might be, if we're in the printer sales business or the photocopier sales business, and I'll pick on Western Business Machines because they're such great people, but we would choose Western Business Machines. We're going to indicate that the threat from Western Business Machines is high because they've been in this business a long time. They've got a great reputation. Okay, so we're going to update that. So here's where we could detail our competitors. And then ultimately, if that competitor won that deal, we could flag it as winning that deal, so that you're able to track, if you're losing deals, you're able to track who you're losing it to, what their threat level was, etc. Like most forms in Business One, you're able to attach documents to the sales opportunity. So if you had a PDF, quite frequently, if Mike and I receive a lead sheet, say from a partner or whatever, like in Word doc format or PDF, we attach it here. Or if you had an RFP that you were responding to, you could attach the RFP right in here. Okay, and lastly, the summary tab really talks about what status the opportunity is in. So for the most part, you'll leave this status open, but once the opportunity is won or lost, you're able to mark it won or lost. And when you mark it won or lost, you're also able to define a reason as to why you won or lost that opportunity. So in the case of losing an opportunity, we may say that the reason we lost it was because we weren't the best fit, or price too high, or whatever reasons you feel appropriate for winning or losing business. This is a great way to track those reasons, so that later, if you're finding that your price is too high or you're not the best fit, in a lot of cases you can assess whether or not you should be chasing those types of opportunities. All right. Lastly, the Stages tab, and we're gonna take a little deeper of a dive on this Stages tab. But here's where you define the sales stages. Not every sales organization really has discrete stages of a deal. To fellows like Mike and I, we certainly would have various stages. I think, Mike, there's 5 or 6 of those stages, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of, as a lead comes in and as we progress through the deal. These sales stages are 100% definable by you. So you would probably call these something different. You might call the first one, I heard a rumor, or somebody said word of mouth, that they need a piece of business, and who knows what your meeting progression is, or sometimes this is just a phone call. But point being that these stages really capture the progression of you talking to your customer. So, and there's kind of an industry practice or an assumption here that the farther along you get into talking to a customer, the more likely it is that you're going to close that business. So in this case, the first stage is lead, and we say that the probability of closing a lead when it's at this stage is 6%. What that means is if we've said that this piece of business is worth $10,000, so I'm just going to go back to it. If we think that in the end it's worth $10,000, at this stage we're only 6% sure that that's going to close, and we've given it a weighted amount in our sales pipeline of $600. This number, this weighted amount, this is essentially a forecast. And for those of you that have done this type of sales pipeline scheme before, you're probably familiar with this sort of logic. Not all organizations, write their logic such that these are these are how sure we are that the deal is going to close. I mean, in some organizations they write 0%. We're not sure at all that this is going to close up until we get pen to paper. In other organizations, they know that if a customer calls them, they're pretty much 90 to 95% sure all the way along that they're going to close that piece of business. That means that the weighted amounts for those types of organizations will be different throughout the sales cycle. And this weighted amount is essentially a forecast for what you think you're going to do in business. And we're going to see at the end of this, we're going to see a sales report that kind of helps to visualize this weighted amount a little better. Again, this is a prediction. This is a forecast. This is not actual, right? This is a guess at how much work we think we've got. Okay, so at this point, we've done kind of two things. We've done the step where we've created the sales opportunity, and then the second step here that we've just led you through is we've kind of looked at, once we get talking to the prospect, how do we use these individual tabs to load data in and get data. And the reason that you would do all of these things is that presumably later you'll be able to have data to kind of analyze what's going on in your sales cycle. Okay. So step number one and step number two, and I'll just kind of take a quick pause, and if anybody needs to enter in a question into the field, you can do that. We'll take these questions kind of at the end, and we'll answer all of your curiosities. We're also more than happy to answer questions following the webinar with this. Again, this is kind of the general demo on how you would use this tool, but how you deploy it for your particular organization is going to be different every time. Okay, so step three, let's kind of drill down into these stages. So this first stage, we had a lead come in to the sales employee, Sophie, and the lead came in via email, and Sophie got back to the customer. And when Sophie did that, she quickly found out that Claudia wanted to jump quickly to a quote. So we're going to add a row into the sales stages, and we're going to basically jump past these two stages because we didn't need them. Claudia says, I want a quote. Okay, and I want that quote by Friday the 18th. So Sophie's, any good salesperson is going to go in and say, okay, well, here's the line the stage that deals with the quote stage. It's due on the 18th. You can see that when we move this to quote stage, our closing probability jumped to 60% because that was the percentage that we assigned the quotation stage. We're 60% sure, or we have a track record of closing 60% of the business that comes in when it's at the quotation stage. Sometimes you don't know these numbers before you start to really track them. But once you start to track sales opportunities through a tool like this, then you'll be able to refine what closing probability you give each stage. And you can see that the weighted amount jumped to $6,000 because, again, the weighted amount is really just 60% of whatever the total potential is here. Because we're at the sales quotation stage, we now want to create a sales quotation from SAP Business One. Now, here's an important an important bit I think to discuss. I'm sure that of all of the clients we have kind of on the webinar today, some of you might be able to use Business One to create sales quotations, but some of you might be creating quotations and bid outside the system. So I'm going to show you how you can attach a Business One sales quotation and have that kind of be useful in this sales stage. So I'm going to choose sales quotation, and then I'm going to go pick a document number. Which quotation applies to this? I actually don't have a quote yet, so I'm going to create a new one. And when I click new, notice how it actually pulled Claudia's business partner record right into the sales quotation right away. Okay, and Claudia had mentioned that she wanted 20 printers. So we're going to type printer in and we're going to see all of the printers. And I'm going to pick this printer. Okay, so that printer is a unit cost of $240.20. Okay, and we can see if we choose 20 of those printers, our deal is actually only worth 4,800 bucks. But Claudia had already kind of discussed with me the idea that their budget was around 10 grand. So we're going to sell them a more expensive printer. Okay, so we'll sell them the $500 color printer. All right, which if she's buying 20 of them, works out to be 10 grand exactly. But let's also put the right tax on this. Okay, so Claudia's in Alberta. Okay, and let's actually, just for purposes of demonstration here, let's actually say that Claudia wanted to buy 22 printers, not 20. So the total amount actually ended up being $11,550 with tax. Okay, so I'm going to add this quote to the system. It asks us now if we want to take the amounts from this sales quotation and update what we've got in our sales opportunity. We're going to say yes. Okay, so notice what's happened here. The potential amount, instead of being 10 grand, is now 11 grand because Claudia actually needed 22 printers at 500 bucks a piece. And it's updated the sales opportunity to reflect that that new quote number is in there. So when you create a quote from Business One, it's actually pulling the quote information into the sales opportunity. And you're able to kind of see that reflected here. We can also now see, because we've created a quote which has items where the costs are known, we can also see what the gross profit percentage and total is in the sales opportunity right here. So this is a great tool for the salesperson because they can see on this particular deal, okay, are we making margin here? What are our margins? Do I have any flexibility for discount? That sort of thing. All right, last thing we're going to do is, now that we've sent Claudia a quote, and we can of course email out a Business One, on this stage, on the sales stage, I'm going to attach an activity to follow up on the quote. So I'm going to say I need to make a phone call to Claudia on Friday. And of course, Claudia expected the quote by Friday, but because we're running a great ERP system, we were able to deliver it today. Follow up on quote to obtain order. All right, and we're going to set that reminder for Friday. Okay, and we're going to set a reminder of 15 minutes beforehand to send us an alert. I'm going to add that into the system. Okay, so now we have an activity which is logged against this sales opportunity. And if we were to click on this button in the lower right-hand corner, related activities, we'd see there's our activity right there. Because this is an activity with a date and a time and a reminder set, come this date and time and the reminder time, we're actually going to see that an alert for that activity pop up in our messages and alerts windows to remind us to call Claudia. All right. So that's step 3. We've gone beyond just creating the sales opportunity. We've moved to kind of detailing what's on it, and then even gone further to work with sales stages, attach sales quotation document, so on and so forth. One thing I probably should have mentioned when we started, it is possible that a sales manager could create these sales opportunities in the background and then assign them. So, if we were just to kind of create one very quickly here, a sales manager could be creating these opportunities in the background and then assigning it to whatever sales employee it needed to be assigned to. So the sales employee don't have to be the ones initiating the sales opportunities originally. Okay. All right, so we've kind of gone full circle as far as what one can do in the sales opportunity. So step number 4, we're going to just take a look at some of the reports that are available. And we probably don't have time to get into all of these reports in detail, but there are quite a number of reports that enable you to kind of forecast the opportunities that are coming, either see the statistics on past opportunities, to analyze where opportunities are in certain stages. There's this won opportunities, lost opportunities report. But the report I think I probably want to just focus on for today's discussion and to highlight is kind of the traditional sales pipeline report. So when we activate this report, we see this very pretty graphic, and we get a report down here in tabular form on here are all the sales opportunities that are happening in our organization. And you can see that, in quotation stage, there are 18 opportunities, and that opportunity that we had just created for Sophie and the printer sale to Claudia, that's accounting for one of these opportunities here. So across all of these opportunities and all of these expected totals, we have all of these weighted average amounts depending on the stage. And the closer that a deal gets to negotiation, to contract signing, the higher closing percentage we assign it, and the more of a weighted amount we have associated with it. So in this case, what we're saying is that in our entire sales pipeline, we think that there is a potential of $1.4 million in business. But according to how we know things close at certain stages, the chance of closing, we think that in reality, we're forecasting, about 575 grand in potential business coming down the pipe. So again, this forecasting tool is only as good as the logic that's set up behind it. Certainly your organization needs to make decisions on how you weight opportunities in these stages. But if you begin to track these sales opportunities and you understand what your closing percentage is throughout the sales cycle, you can usually refine the scheme, and you can get pretty accurate at forecasting the revenue number that will come in. Okay. The other thing that we can use some of these reports to do is we can use them to drill down on an individual salesperson. So let's say we want to filter this report so that we're seeing just Sophie Clogg's sales pipeline. So we do that, and I just click this refresh button here. Now we're seeing Sophie Clogg's pipeline, and we can see that Sophie has an awful lot of leads, a lot of things in first meeting, and then a whole lot in quote. And that's, of course, because of the fact that we've got a demo system here. But this can also be an indication that one of your sales employees' pipeline is a little bit lopsided. I mean, maybe there's something going on with Sophie here that there's a little something going on with Sophie that means that she's not able to kind of close escrow on her quotes, right? So, in this case, we should see another couple stages. We should see, kind of quote accepted and negotiation and close of business, but things are getting stuck in quotation stage. So we go back to Sophie and we say, hey, how's it going? You need some help getting things past the quote stage, etc. Okay. So that's really kind of the sales opportunity tool from end to end, and some of the reporting that's available as a result. So at this point, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly check on the question and answer window. And Claudia, I think you're still on the line here. You're monitoring or Hank. Do you have any questions in the?
We have no questions posted at this point.
Okay.
You've been so clear in your description of everything that I think.
Well, good. I wouldn't want to assume that everybody gets it right off the top. So this would be and certainly out there, let us know. Let us know if asking questions through the webinar is something that's easy to do, because I'd want to make sure that everybody is okay with the way GoToWebinar works and kind of the asking of questions. But I'll leave it open. We'll leave it open for a moment or two here. Maybe give people the opportunity to ask questions if they want to.
Rob, this is Hank. Actually, I'll take the opportunity to ask a question.
Sure.
The variety of reports, I haven't had a chance to look at those very much myself. I was just wondering, you mentioned how as the system's being used, the company might get a better sense, historically as to what the percentage success is based on the various stages. So is there a report that can actually analyze historically so that you can set what those new percentages might be according to what the reality has been over the past 6 months or so? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good question, Hank. I have to be careful because I don't know if I have the demo data to describe it, but typically what you'll do is you'll use a report like the opportunity statistics report. And this probably would require a little bit of fine tuning as far as the demo data behind it. But if I make these columns bigger, so the opportunity statistics report is able to kind of tell you, what opportunities have you had in the pipeline, and in this case, we're actually seeing the opportunities against what business partners. So here we've got our business partners listed, the total opportunities that we've had with them, the total kind of won, the total lost, so that we can kind of begin to see, at least in the context of, excuse me, of what business partner, what we've won and what we've lost, whatnot. And again, I probably don't have the demo data to describe it, but other ways in which these reports can be filtered can then begin to show you, okay, at what stage, at what stage did we win this deal? If we were in quotation stage, or if we got to quotation stage, with a customer, how many of those deals that got to quotation stage then closed? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's again, I apologize. I probably can't show you with the data that we've got here, but that's kind of the general idea. If we start to measure this and we know that 70% of deals that get to quotation stage close, then we'd likely set that closing probability at quotation stage to 70%.
Good.
Yeah.
And we have another question that's
Okay.
come in. So it's pertaining to when there's the setup of a new business partner as a lead, and say the nomenclature is used of naming them as L0001.
Sure.
When they then do become a customer, can we change their BP number to C001, for instance, which would then indicate that they are a customer based on prefix rather than the L prefix?
Yeah, good question. So in order to answer that question, I think what I'm going to do is, I believe that you are able to change the code up until the point that transactions are posted against that customer record. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly check. So we created this new sales opportunity for Claudia, and I'm just going to drill down into the business partner. Okay, so a sales opportunity is not a general ledger transaction. There's no accounting or inventory impact. You can see that the code field on Claudia is still open, which means that in theory we should be able to change it. So let's say Claudia became a customer. We should be able to update the code at the point at which we convert from lead to a customer. And because you're not able to post accounting transactions against lead, I think, and I would have to check this with my colleagues, but I think that means that you are able to edit the code. And notice how in the sales opportunity, just because we edited the code in the business partner, this sales opportunity has already been added to the system, and it was added with that original code. So we can't change that at this point. That's probably not important. But if we were to drill down, if we were to drill down into that customer's code, we can see that link is now broken. So I guess you'd have to ask yourself the question: how important is that? If the salesperson was able to generate a code and then later it be changed, how important is it for that link to work? It might be important, actually. But here's another suggestion. With many of our clients, when they're creating a new business partner, whether it's a salesperson creating a business partner record at the lead stage, or or an accounting person or a manager, converting that to a customer, creating it at the customer stage. It is possible to apply an automatic kind of auto-generating scheme. Because this is a demo system, that auto-generating scheme obviously isn't there by default. But I believe this is the case in Project Line system and the case with some of our clients. When this business partner record is opened up and we put it into add a new mode, it actually auto-generates the number. Based on a sequence of numbers that is pre-chosen by the organization. So, and that's often a good thing. I think if you've got a numbering scheme for your business partners, you may want to take the numbering of the business partner out of the hands of the salesperson. And maybe kind of a little more automated. That means that whatever the ultimate code is going to be used on the sales opportunity and then can further be used for the customer. I hope that's answered the question. I know that the system does have some limitations in the sense of if that code is we can see that actually, sorry, I am standing corrected. So now that we have refreshed that customer's code, and refresh this sales opportunity, you can see that the new code for Claudia Lavarave is now in the sales opportunity. And if I drill down, there we go. The link is preserved. So I guess what we've been able to show you here is that yes, you can change the code afterwards. Now, once we post an accounting transaction against Claudia, so like let's say that sales quotation that we created for Claudia now becomes a invoice. Okay, so Claudia says yes, we invoice those printers. No, right, and then it's a serialized or it's a bin location. Okay, bad example in this case, but let's just quickly. Let's just quickly invoice Claudia for something, anything. Okay. And you'll have to forgive me every time there's a red error. It means the demo guy didn't set things up fully. Too many batch controlled items in our demo database today. You'll have to forgive me. Okay. Okay, sorry, I have to apologize. What I'm trying to do is simply add a transaction against Claudia, but most of my items are batch controlled here, and that's it's one of those things where answering a question on the fly, and I probably didn't have things set up quite the way I wanted in the back end to. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to do this. The point being is as soon as we log an accounting transaction against Claudia, this code becomes locked and you can't change it any longer. Okay. How are we doing for questions, Hank? Any more questions out there?
There are no more questions at this point.
Okay. All right, well,
just came
yeah, sounds good.
So the question is, would you consider using the interest range area to define a potential customer's interest in multiple products in item master database?
Right. I think it certainly could be, and I'm wondering if what the question is getting at, and correct me here, is if somebody calls in and is looking to buy printers but isn't sure which printers they're interested in buying, in our organization, we have, let's say, 3 brands available, and the customer has said that they're interested in only IBM and HP, but primarily IBM. We certainly could use that in such a manner. I think that, does that answer the question? I'm hoping.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Like again, some of the aspects of this container are configurable. If you are setting up sales opportunities, the place you've noticed that there's a number of places where we're able to define new list. You may lock that down for the people in your organization. You know, you may predefine this as a sales manager or a system administrator. But if you're setting this up in the background, if you go into administration, setup, and sales opportunities, these are kind of the 4 main tables, the partners, competitors, relationships, and stages. You can kind of set those up in the background. And then you can also choose whether or not you leave these lists like level of interest and interest range open to all users to add new. Sometimes you want to lock that down a little bit. Information source would be another example of that. Sometimes as an organization, it's best to just figure out the 9 or 10 responses that are possible, and that if a new response is required, maybe you kick that back to the group to discuss, instead of everybody being able to kind of add a new one, which is only slightly different than the old one, and kind of, dirties up the list. Okay. So no new questions?
No.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for your attention today. And like I said, again, this session has been recorded, and we'll make the recording available to you. And tune in to I think in our next newsletter that comes out at the beginning of August, we'll be talking about our August webinar. Okay, thanks so much.